space, robots, and escape from reality. These are some of the best ones you can find on the Switch, so even if you go out to space, well, it's portably there for you. We'll have simply gameplay focused, we'll have simply story focused, and everything in between. And what a better way to start off is the choices between one playthrough and the next. Multiple endings, choice matters. Oh, this game is so good. Most of the elements I'm not going to talk about because I want you to experience the story and not get spoiled. The main fun with this game is just wondering what's going to be in the next room, in the next hallway. How are the characters going to react now that this new problem has developed? I was hooked on this game. Besides the choices that you'll be making, you also have escape room puzzles. So for a visual novel game, you are still doing a lot of gameplay. And usually when there's multiple endings in a visual novel, sometimes I'll go for them and sometimes I won't. What really drives this one is I want to see the alternate routes because you get to choose which doors you open, and that also pairs you with different characters. I wanted to see those scenes, and I hope you do too. What Vampire Survivors was for a lot of gamers, this is my one more run game. Void Scrappers has a very simple concept. You're upgrading your ship and you're shooting things that come at you. And like the Vampire Survivors, you have to survive to a certain level or a certain time, and then a big giant boss comes and it almost seems like impossible to win. I feel so good when I play this game. There's something godlike about the abilities you can get, especially if you combine some, like with giant lasers and nukes going off, you just feel so strong. Yeah, so I might be chasing the Power Fantasy Dragon, but oh my gosh, is it fun while I'm doing it. The best part is I feel like this game doesn't suck away all your time. It doesn't take as long to upgrade things or unlock other characters if you're good. And the music is just oh so good. And it's really cheap, so check it out. If you want to feel like you're in the Aliens movie, well, you need to play Contra 3: The Alien Wars. Man, what a difficult game, but a fun game. Especially if you have somebody to play co-op with. That makes it a little bit more, yes, we'll go one more round. Besides the difficulty, there is still more than that to play this game. I think the boss designs are really cool. They do this crazy change up in gameplay, I think on missions 2 and 5, that really change up the formula, and I loved it. This is arcade goodness in the palm of your hands. This one's on this list because of my older brother. I haven't put enough time into this game, but this is one of its favorites, and I trust his opinion on this one. And apparently this is an amazing port. I also have it on the Switch, I also have it on the PS4. I gotta really get back to this game. My older brother says though the first playthrough is amazing, you gotta get through the second playthrough, and then it's just insane. That intrigues me with that concept, so I'm not really sure what he's talking about, but I've heard great things. From the bits I've played, the gameplay element is super cool, and I love how they switch camera angles and when you go into certain screens or battle arenas. It's really clever. So here's to you, big brother. It's on the list.
Humans all possess secrets, trauma, and guarded psyches. They are what we call mental locks.
My goodness, is this game strange. But the best part about it is, this game goes from extremely wacky to extremely dark, almost on a dime. Yes, this is a visual novel, but you'll be investigating scenarios in the real life and in this virtual world, because your character has an AI eyeball. Yes. But I will say, the twist at the end of this game, oh, it's so freaking good. And I really like the puzzle solving in this one, and I think most of the characters are pretty well done. There's some extreme behavior from some of these characters I think is a little out there, but that's okay. The ending, by the way, is probably, besides the twist, is probably the funniest, if not coolest thing in a long time. So very, very unexpected. So if you're intrigued by murder mystery, anime tropes, and goofiness, but also really dark, this one's for you.
When you speak, I hear silence.
Transistor oozes sci-fi from every single one of its pores. Artistically speaking, Supergiant Games is just phenomenal. But the whole entire concept of this world, its characters, is what's really the driving force behind this game. And then you have a really solid, active turn-based battle system that was really fun to experiment with. I absolutely love the shift from Bastion to this game. It really showed the developers their chops. One of my favorite aspects of this game is the music, and that title song is so good. There's definitely some replayability with this game as well, but it's on the shorter side, which is just the perfect portable sci-fi goodness.
You tell yourself that you're lucky.
There's no way I could make this list without including a Metroid game, and I'm going with Metroid Prime Remastered. The queen of atmosphere, my gosh. It was very impressive on the GameCube, and it's still impressive today. You really get that feeling of being stranded on a planet. The music only amplifies this, and the water effects on your visor, it is just so good. At its core, this is definitely more about the gameplay, but you cannot escape the mood of this game. Every time you go into a new area, it's just like, yes, it just hits you. There's something just so satisfying about acquiring a new suit of armor and just looking at it and you're like, yeah, this feels great. The tried and true gameplay loop of Metroidvanias is here in 3D, and what more could you want? That music's so good! The blending of sci-fi and fantasy in this game is spectacular. It took me a long time to really get this game and actually fall in love with it. I literally played, I think, 20 hours, put it aside, came back to it years later, and I am so happy that I went back to this game. I think it has one of the coolest endings in any RPG, especially if you are familiar with the series as a whole. Why I'm drawn to sci-fi and fantasy elements in stories or in games is because I want to be transported. And oh my gosh, does Xenoblade Chronicles 2 transport you with the various landscapes you go to. One of my favorite areas in this game is you're inside this giant beast. And you come up to this cavern, and there's these giant stairs leading all the way up to the top. And you got your blues and your purples, and it just looks so foreign but so cool. And you're like, I feel like I could see how they could actually make a city inside this beast. And when you first go in and you turn around and you can see the mouth and the teeth of the creature and the lights coming in, oh my gosh. And on top of that, you have the Xenoblade battle system again, but it's a little bit more refined, and all the amazing trappings of running around the world, seeing a crazy monster that is literally 60, 70 levels above you, and you're like, I gotta come back to that later. The game isn't perfect, but man, when it hits those moments, it's so good. A splendid, fantastical sci-fi tale. The true encapsulation of everything I like about sci-fi, and that's right here on the Switch, 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. This game has basically every single sci-fi trope out there, and somehow it works within the story in either an out-of-the-box kind of concept, or it fits with the scenario that you're currently doing. The attention to detail in the story and how characters reference one another, and then when you're walking around the school, you will see your other classmates and protagonists in the background, and everything interconnects, and the payoffs just keep coming and coming. And the amount of times where I was just like, what the heck is going on? And they would just add a second and third layer to the mysteries, I was all in. I think this game is a storytelling masterpiece, and everyone should experience it if you're into the sci-fi. So there you go, that's all you need to know. Don't miss this one. Please do not miss this one. So hey, if you found a game on this list that you haven't heard of, or you think these are good recommendations, you should stick around for more. Hit that little subscribe button down there, or let me know other sci-fi games that you think are must-plays on the Nintendo Switch. I would love to read them below. There's something so fun about finding a new game, and maybe it'll be featured in a list next time.